Welcome in, everybody. This is my first ever podcast I've done. I do apologize if you guys were waiting for the Niner Times one. Some technical difficulties was happening, so I'm just going to do this on my computer and hopefully up this to YouTube. Anyways, guys, my podcast is called Viva. It is a podcast focusing on specifically the Hispanic and heritage and culture. So let me do the rundown of my podcast, basically, and what it's about, and a little bit about me, aka your host. So, my name is Sammy, and I'm a host of Cultura Viva, and today we'll be talking about how does college look like through the lens of someone who's Dominican and Peruvian, and also a second-generation student. So, what that means is basically, guys, is I'm a student. First of all, I'm a senior at UNC Charlotte, and my major is communications and minor in journalism. So what does that mean? That means basically I know how to write, I like to do podcasts, I like to interview people, all that good stuff. And one of the things that I would like to briefly state here is I want to bring awareness to the Hispanic culture, especially around the stigmas and the bad blood that's being thrown around, or the mud, as people would say. And I also want to be able to, obviously you guys are going to learn a little bit about me and, my influences. We're going to go over my personal aspirations and why I chose UNC Charlotte and the struggles I faced and how I got through it and the growth I've had since going to being here at UNC Charlotte versus when I was in high school, middle school, whatever. And then I'll go over some ideas and then my thoughts, and then I'll end it with some advice for my listeners out there who want to have advice. If you don't wish to have advice, that's fine. But anyways, let's get started, guys. So, the first thing we want to touch based on, since I introduced myself, and my background basically is I'm Dominican Peruvian. I'm also half Jewish, but I don't really consider myself in the Jewish faith. I'm more so the spirituality and Christian faith. More so spirituality. If you Christians come after me, you better not. Anyways, I'm recording this on my own. I've done auto engineering actually for about 6 months. Believe it or not, I was trained by a very professional recording person who did auto engineering for a few years and such. So I'll get into my career choices, what I wanted to do before I ended up being in the major I wanted to be in later on. Okay. So I would be considered a second generation student, a second generation college student, I'd say, sorry, because my dad went to university. My dad went to community college and university, but he had a bachelor's in computer science, so he's a project manager, which, by the way, I still live in New York, and my mom used to work in the Twin Towers, and she worked at the tower that got hit, the floor that got hit. My mom could not go to college because when she was younger, she got married young, not to my dad, to I think my first brother's father. And then they had my brother, and then they got divorced because he wasn't good, etc., etc. My mom couldn't get the chance to go to college because because she had to work, too, because she didn't have money to go to college. She always did say if she were to go back and go to college, she would want to be a nurse and go be a nurse at the local hospital in New York. But yeah, she was always like wanting to say, I need to go to college, I need to go to college, I need to go to college. My grandparents did go to college. My grandma didn't. Abuela didn't, because she didn't. Abuela is grandma Spanish. Abuelo is grandfather in Spanish. Mi abuelo, he went to college. I forgot what he went for. I think he went for business management. But you can only imagine what he must have said to her when he found out that she didn't want to go to college or she couldn't go. Well, it must have been an interesting conversation. Anyways, but the other thing would be, my mom wishes she went to college. She did. She wishes she did, and because she didn't, she regrets that almost every day. The influences I do have, moving on to the influences of my culture being Dominican and Peruvian, the influences of my culture being of education would be, being able to be a part of that 20% of Hispanics who get bachelor's degrees and such, and also hopefully be that 10% who has master's degree. I'm planning to get my master's. I'll explain that later on, but another thing would also be is, another thing would also be is, also, the values is also, it's very core because it's where I came from, where I grew up in spirituality. Like, there's some things you do in spirituality world, like you, to prepare for the new year, like you take a suitcase and you basically go drag it outside and then you come back in. It's like out with the old and in with the new kind of idea. That's like a Dominican and Peruvian thing. We do every year, every New Year's and stuff, so to bring in good luck and everything. Another thing would also be is the other core value would be is knowing that my heritage is strong, and we believe in being strong and believing that we can get work done, and believe that we can keep the faith of knowing that good luck is always happening for us. Money will always happen, and everything. The other biggest thing I will also say about in my culture and my heritage is we're always going to value education. We always value as something as a special tool. Why a special tool? A special tool because it's the idea of knowing that you can achieve something great and you could be something great and show that the people who you can give people a voice, especially if you're a journalist. Like, you're giving that people a voice to be able to voice their opinions, and for those who cannot speak either because they're scared or they're shy, you can be the voice for them. You can be the advocate for them, if that makes sense. So I will definitely say it can get stressful. It can get a little tedious when you have people who don't listen to you or people who assume something bad about you, which is not true. But my early dreams, before I chose to be in communications, I'm going to explain this really quick. I wanted to be an auto engineerist. I wanted to be that, but then when I realized there was no degree in that, I said, you know what, I'll just do the next best thing, which was, journalism, because I've always wanted to write, and I did journalism. Like I said, my background is I used to do morning broadcasts for about, I'd say, 2 years. I'd say elementary and middle school, and then I did yearbook for 2 years. I was always the best person to interview too. I always took funny photos, and interview people. But they always say I always ask good questions. I always did. But my gosh, I miss those people. Oh my gosh. But I would definitely, I've always wanted to do something with media. I've always did. Ever since I was young. Everyone has always said that. Back in high school or middle school, they always said something in media was always something up my alley. I've always liked it because I always heard social media had money in it, and I just figured, okay, maybe I can work with it. Maybe I can do something with it, something I enjoy. The idea is to love what you love what you do. If it's not only about the money and stuff, yeah. And I do also think my biggest thing of going to college is I wanted to expand my horizons. I wanted to try something new. I also wanted to be in a place where I know I can grow. I can potentially get a good job and a good career and have money and always have something to support. I will also definitely say, do I have any role models that I grew up with and to be inspired to be a journalist? I didn't really have anyone to be my role model or anything. I wouldn't say that, honestly. But I would definitely say, the idea, I do have my own Etsy store, and I do like to write fan fiction for people. I think that's what drives me. I think that's my biggest thing that motivated me to be a journalist as well. And also, again, being a part of broadcast and doing your book and writing about some stuff really drove the edge where I wanted to be in media. I wanted to hear people's stories. I wanted to inspire people and show that, a different side of Hispanic culture, and and also being able to know that it's not that difficult, but it's also kind of like what is why is there so much stigma? Why is there so much hate? Why are we being blamed for things that we never even did? And I will also definitely say that, like, there's a lot of stigma. I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of stigma when it comes to, thinking, oh, if you do something, that means you must be a bad person. Even you make one simple mistake, people are gonna be like, gonna accuse you. And unfortunately, because we live in a world that everyone seems to think that one race can never do anything wrong, or when they do something wrong, then they get a slap on the wrist, versus if another race does something similar, then they get severe punishment. It's kind of like the fairness, especially with Hispanics, because Hispanics always get, a bad rep for their name, because either they're considered to be drug addicts or murderers or rapists or any of that horrible stuff. But the biggest point I wanted to point out for this point, when it talks about the stigmatized and the negative influences that other people might have, or the closed-mindedness of other people might have on Hispanics, is that all of us are human. All of us make mistakes. Just because one person makes a mistake doesn't mean you can criticize them, or if somebody does something regardless if they're Hispanic or not, I do believe they should be punished. But I do not agree with the idea of being treated unfairly. That should never happen, because if you're treated unfairly, then who's to say that said person or said race is going to rebel and do something more stupid and say, okay, if I'm just going to get in trouble, then I should go on a spree or something. The idea of being fair is always very important, but like, if you're just going to sit there and have a whole thing where that people think it's okay to act a certain way because they think they have privilege, that is not correct. Again, but yeah, back to my whole spiel of the whole choosing a university. The reason why I chose UNC Charlotte as a whole is because, 1, it was cheaper, 2, it was closer to home, and 3, I tried other universities, but Chapel Hill said no to me, and I heard a little bit of scary stories about UNCW, and I was kind of like, I'll just maybe go somewhere else. I'm not gonna lie, UNCC was like my last choice, because I was like, I wanted to get away from home, I wanted to go away, I wanted to explore life in a way. But yeah, didn't really have what I wanted, didn't have the opportunities I needed, so it's good to commute, I will say, because then you get to work at your part-time job on the weekends like I do, and be able to make some money on the side, so that way you can eat on campus, so you're not technically broke. You can actually go eat and not have to rely on your declining balances or your other DB thingies. But yeah, it's pretty nice, I would say, yeah. But challenges I faced. Here's the thing about challenges I faced. When I was in high school, I remember most of the advisors or most of the teachers would say that if I went to college, I wouldn't make it. They think I would flunk out after a semester or two. And boy, were they wrong, because I'm in my last year as a senior and I'm still thriving. I'm still here, boys. I'm still here. That's the thing. I'm still here. And yet I have no plans of quitting, and I have plans to maybe get a master's after my bachelor's kind of thing. And it's just honestly really really great and stuff, because it shows that I never gave up and I'm resilient, and I'm willing to do whatever is necessary to be able to get my achievement to my dream and get my degree and go be the best darn journalist that there could ever be in this world. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. I overcame them. I overdid, because I was I had a determination. I had, that kind of strength. And I said, no, I'm not going to sit there and die. I'm going to pick myself up, and I'm just going to do what I need to do and go be that amazing journalist and show the world what I got, Like I'm going to say, I'm here and I'm proud and I'm thriving, bros. I'm thriving. I'm right here. And no one's going to take my spot or knock me off my grind. BS. Another thing would also I like to mention is my achievements. Believe it or not, after I got out of my high school, when I went to community college, I actually got into the honor society, some kind of Delta Pi Chi thingy. I don't know what it's called. I actually got into that honor society. I got my cords. I had a ceremony, and I get to do it all over again with UNC Charlotte. But this time, I get to be part of the National Communication Association. Yes, you get paid a little money, but it's great because you'll be in there for life, and no matter where you go, you'll always be recognized. And you always get like a great achievement. You'll get a great, nice ceremony before you graduate. So it's like 2 ceremonies in one. One is obviously graduation. The other one is being able to recognize and know that you're part of the honor society. And as someone who's Hispanic, that's a great thing because not a lot of Hispanics really get into the honor society or even get recognized or even get a separate ceremony or anything like that. It's kind of like either it's really like, white dominated, or it's like other things that are dominated. But it's like, it's just a great feeling, it's refreshing to get records when you are Hispanic and you never had cords before, and it's just great because you get to walk in with pride. It's a great, especially your bachelor, your 4-year degree, you have cords, and it's really like a reminder saying, I did it. I went through hell and back, but I did it. I made it, and here I am. Nobody could take this away from me, and I am here, and nobody will ever strike me down. It's great, honestly. But honestly, if I could say anything about my journey here at UNC Charlotte and my other career, I've had a blast, honestly. If I had a blast knowing that I got to be here, knowing I made some friends and not some great friends, people I had to leave before. But it's all right because I made some new friends, and everything is just chilling right now. We're just chilling. And it's just great knowing that when you have a big community like communications and a big community like the Hispanic and Heritage, and it's just like great when they all come together. Like I just saw the Hispanic and Heritage Festival just this past Saturday, where all Hispanics were getting together from all different Hispanic countries like Guatemala, Ecuador, Peru, Mexico, El Salvador, Spain, and everything. It was just so great because it's great to see everyone come together as one. Even if they're not Hispanic, it's just great that they come as a community and they want to learn about our culture. They want to learn about our ways and our traditions and stuff. I think it's just a beautiful thing, in my opinion, because, as somebody who is Latina, it's great to see, and great to see communities. We all come together because as a community, we all lean on each other for support and everything. And what is a family if you don't have a community? What is being a Hispanic if you don't have support or love back into the community? We shouldn't be hurting each other. We shouldn't. It's like that song that goes, "Tell me why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? I'm standing over here while others living in the gangster's paradise." But that statement is true, saying, why are we so blind to see that the people that we're hurting is me and you? Like, that's when it goes back to the point of support, and we need to support each other a lot more and not hurt each other, not break each other down. Like, we need to show love. We need to socialize. We need to find better ways to not kill each other in the streets and lose lives and have their mamas bury their children so early, It's just things like that, honestly. But if I could offer anything about anybody who's Hispanic or struggling with their mental health, or anybody who is struggling entirely, just know that things will get better. The storm will pass, and things do get better. It just takes time, because I know it does for me. I used to be really anxious. I used to be very depressed and stuff. I'm still going through it right now, but I'm just saying, as a Hispanic, it's kind of like easy to give up because you're like, well, statistics says I'll never have a degree, or I'll always be stuck in the slums or be stuck in the rut that I am. You don't have to always be stuck in the rut. You can always change your mindset. You can always change it for yourself. You don't have to wait around for anyone to change it for you. You don't have to marry rich. You don't have to do all that. If you can't go to college, at least do something where you can get a good career and don't have to basically wait on nobody. And it's just, especially for women, us women can make it out without a man. We don't need no man to support us. We don't need no man to tell us that we can do or not do anything, especially us Hispanic. We Hispanic ladies are lawyers, doctors, everything you can imagine. That's what we are. If you ever take a chance to look around and see a Hispanic woman work hard, she either is working really hard for her family to support her family, or she really did make it out there. A lot of people, we need to start praising people who are Hispanic and praise more people and show them more love instead of hate or throwing negative stereotypes or negative things at them. We are human like you. We bleed the same way. We hurt the same way. We are loving and caring just like everyone else. It's just the media and the stereotypes of people having old beliefs is what ruins it the most. And so I will leave you with this final thought. What has this journey taught me and about me going to community college and university is I am resilient. I can do anything I put my mind to, and I'm excited for the future. And I'm grateful for every one of you who has listened to this podcast, and grateful for all my friends who have listened to me. It is the greatest pleasure I've ever had. And I hope to make another episode like this, and I'm hoping that once I get to the studio with Nighter Times, I can bring in a friend so we can continue conversations like this and keep talking about it and be able to have more and more ideas. And really, I would love to hear everyone's story, so go ahead and don't be afraid to tell me your story. I would love to hear it. I promise I don't judge. I like to hear other people's story and their other backgrounds, whether they're Hispanic or not. It's just refreshing to hear because you never know, you might learn a lesson or you might learn a new perspective of life based on someone's struggles or stories. We are all always learning. Learning never stops, even outside the classroom. It never stops. You never stop learning. You can always learn something new every single day and use it as a tool or use it as some kind of motivation. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. As always, this has been Cultura Viva. If you guys want to hear more, you can guys check out the Niner Media webpage. This will be my first YouTube podcast. Thank you.